Welcome everyone to another episode of Mere Finance. We are going to talk about the US Treasuries and the S&P 500, a lifetime relationship, and how we can take advantage in the current economic and financial environment. So don't forget to subscribe and let's start. What we see in this graph, this is actually the S&P 500 composite versus the US benchmark 30-year government index total return. We're going to explain the methodology of the total return. This is from data stream. You can see basically the 30-year is almost correlated in terms of returns with the S&P 500. The only divergence is during the dot-com bubble, during the 2008 financial crisis, and recently in the big inflation run-up that has made the Fed Reserve increase rates at the fastest pace in history. So basically what the story tells us, maybe the 30-year US Treasury is the way to go should you not have exposure to equities. To understand a little bit of the total return index and how the methodology works, is because it's really easy to do it in the S&P 500 composite. You just take your returns and you add the dividends and then you just compound it or analyze it per year. But here, because you have different coupons, different interest rates, you have to do it differently. So basically the total return is where the summations are over bonds currently in the index, and then you have a factor which is the CP, which is an adjustment made for the bonds which have X dividend periods. So when a bond goes X dividend, so when it's about to get paid, the CP has a value equal to the next coupon payment. So these to compensate the sharp drop in accrued interest. In other words, when the bond is going to be paid, accrued interest drops and then your total return could drop. Instead of this, you kind of roll this over into the next coupon payment. So if you can see again, this graph is very powerful, extremely well correlated. It seems like treasuries always catch up to stocks, or wherever there is a divergence in prices, at the end of the day, the red line, which is the treasury, will end up catching up with stocks. So what is the implication? The current market is extremely shorted in long duration treasuries. Last year, as interest rates went up pretty high, then it was Armageddon. It was a terrible year for long duration treasuries. By long duration treasuries, we mean any security that is a US government security with 20 years to 30 years maturity. But we're going to talk just about 30 years. So you can see, loading up on bearish bond bets. So hedge funds short treasuries positions is the biggest since at least 2016. It's extremely bearish in treasuries. The whole market is. So you can also see the aggregate net speculative positioning in US treasuries is the biggest that we have recorded in the last 20 years. So this means the market is completely against treasuries, and this can actually cause a catalysis should US treasuries go up, because all these hedge funds and all of these funds need to cover their position. So if you go back to this part, you can see the huge divergence between stocks and the 30-year US treasury total return. In the last year, you also see a huge net short position on treasuries. So what do we think is going to happen? Well, I think bonds will eventually catch up. And the question is, will treasuries accelerate upwards or sit at 2,000? Or the S&P will pull lower? We probably think that because 7 stocks weighted 23% are carrying the S&P 500 in terms of returns, they account for more than 90% of the returns. Probably it's a combination of the S&P dropping and the 30-year treasury is just going up. Because what we see happening is the long duration treasuries are the safety when a credit event occurs. And this is a very, very long business cycle. So credit cycle, this is a new credit cycle that has changed, as the terminal rate will be, in our view, 3% higher for the next 3 years. So now we're in a time that we're going to see rates higher for longer. We're in a time when any credit event will immediately make all the market go into safety, which is usually long duration treasuries. And when the market is extremely short in the long duration treasuries, then we have a total environment ready to have the US 30-year treasury run up, both because of safety, both because net short trading, and both because higher for longer. So let us know what you think, and please comment if you think otherwise and if you like our work. And don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next week in another episode of Mere Finance. Thank you.